Today we're showing you how to start a clothing brand on a budget. So maybe you have an idea and you're ready to start, or perhaps you're doing some preliminary research. Well, we made this video to help you from start to finish. But not only are we helping you start, we're also gonna be covering tactics to help you stand out in the market. And if you do this correctly, it'll help you launch a money-making brand. To start off, I wanna share a formula that we teach through live streams as well as in our community. After analyzing the success that some of you guys had, such as building multi-million-dollar brands and others who were able to start and build profitable business, I was able to diagnose the 4 common traits of the journey of entrepreneurship. And it begins by starting, failing, analyzing, and reinventing yourself. You see, a lot of you guys that are watching are gonna take action, but then some of you guys are gonna encounter failure, and once you encounter that failure, you'll say it wasn't for you. And that's really where your journey ends. And that's the reality of entrepreneurship. It's hard, it's not easy, but the steps that we're gonna lay out are gonna help you. What makes the difference between starting, failing, and overcoming that is the ability to analyze and reinvent what you're doing. But you need to start in the right way. What do I mean by this? I mean that you need to start with some market research. You need to know what kind of product are you creating? What designs are you launching? Who is going to buy it? Who is your target audience? Is this something that you're passionate about? All of these are questions that you need to ask yourself before you start creating anything. Because by having a good understanding, it'll allow you to design and make things for somebody instead of for everybody. Now, once you have that foundation that you know, okay, this is a person I'm gonna sell to, these are the designs, this is what they like, then you gotta go out and make it. But instead of making it and spending thousands of dollars on it, spend a couple bucks on it. I wanna put you in a frame of mind right now where you're thinking about making one design and then going out to sell it. Create one product that depicts the idea that you have for that market. You wanna go out and sell the dream of what you've had bottled up in your head for so long. Put it out to the world, approach people about it, ask them to buy it. If they don't buy it, it's okay. It's all about going out and doing your best to get that sale. And the quicker you can go through these 4 stages of starting, failing, analyzing, and reinventing, the quicker you're gonna have success. Because once you prove this out and once your model is working, you are now ready to legitimize the business. Now, the most common business structures are gonna be a sole proprietor, a partnership, an LLC, and a corporation. Now, each of these structures varies in price and also varies in legal protection. For starters, think about a sole proprietor like somebody working out of a garage. Maybe you're working and building this brand out of a bedroom. A sole proprietor business structure will allow you to pretty much just do business under your name. Now, these vary in price. In Nevada, it's about 20 bucks. But you need to be able to tell the government that you're doing business under your name and what type of business you're operating. It's important to keep in mind that as a sole proprietor, all of the business goes through you personally, which means that you're personally liable for anything in that business. Next comes partnerships, and partnerships are a lot like 2 people operating out of a garage. You came together maybe to share some resources, but you don't want to put too much investment into it. You just want to see if it works. But you're not formalizing it into a new entity, which means that both of you guys are still personally liable for anything that happens in the business. Next is the LLC. And in LLC, it's pretty much like 2 or more people coming together, and each of you are bringing either a specific skill set, some money, and something to the table. And you want to formalize it and have legal protection. And that LLC essentially becomes its own person. Whereas a partnership and a sole proprietor, you're still operating under your own legal name. LLC is operating as a business. Now, when it comes to corporations, they're pretty much structures that are set up if you're thinking or planning about raising outside investment. Contrary to an LLC where you give equity stake out of like 100% of the company, you're giving percentages to the people involved. In a corporation, you're giving shares. And the shares vary in different classes with different voting rights and different things that you get as being a shareholder. But corporations really are set up for investment. So if you're planning on this, I highly encourage that you talk to a lawyer and a CPA to really lay out your strategy to make sure it's gonna work for you. Now, once you decide on which structure you want to take, it's really easy to actually formalize it. They can all be registered using your state's website. Yes, it's that easy. Let me show you guys real quick. To begin with, go to Google and type in your state's business registration. In my example here, I'm gonna type in Nevada business registration because I'm in Nevada. If you're in New York or in Texas or in California, type in Texas or California business registration. You're gonna wanna find the .gov website. Click on that website, and then you're just gonna confirm that you're a human with them. And then you're gonna tell them, hey, what kind of business do you wanna structure? And if you wanna do an LLC, you click LLC. It's gonna ask you a lot of different questions. For the most part, the limited liability company is the most popular around the country. Some of these mean different things, but that's the most common one. Once you come into here, you are now just going to start their little check-in. So you're gonna create an account, register, add in your name, email, password, and then it's gonna walk you through the registration process. It's actually really easy and straightforward. And once you have your business legitimized as an LLC or whatever structure you chose, the next thing you gotta get it is a social security number. Because remember, having a business is like having a baby, and it needs to be registered with the federal level. So what you're gonna wanna do is get an EIN number for that business. Now to do this is really easy, guys. All you gotta do is look up EIN number IRS. Look up EIN number IRS and then disregard anything that isn't a .gov. So I see irs.gov, employer identification number. Then head on over to this. You can read all kinds of information. If you don't trust what I'm saying, I don't trust what I'm saying sometimes, so look into it legally here. Now, once you're in here, you're gonna go to apply for an EIN number. Now, since you're on a government website, it's gonna tell you that you're losing all your rights. All right, then you begin the application. Now, for the application, it's gonna ask you what type of business do you got? Depending on how you registered it with your state, you're gonna reflect it here on the IRS's website. Since we did LLC, we're gonna select LLC. And then it's gonna give you a little disclaimer of what it is and isn't. You're gonna hit continue. And then you're gonna say how many people are a part of this, because the government wants to be able to track who is a part of your business. So if we say 2, and then we're gonna say we're located in Nevada, you're just gonna fill this in, guys. It's gonna be really easy, straightforward, probably easier than the LLC. Go through this, authenticate it, put in your address, your details, and at the end of this form, you're gonna get that EIN number. Now, once you get your EIN, you are one step closer to being fully legit. The last thing that's missing is to get a sales and use tax number. What is this? Well, it allows you to buy wholesale without being charged a tax, and it allows you to collect taxes on behalf of your government. So in order to get a sales and use tax, you're gonna wanna look into the city or the county where you reside. Since I'm in Las Vegas, we're gonna look up Las Vegas sales and use tax. From here, we're gonna scroll on over to welcome to either the Nevada or wherever it may be. And the tax center is where you're going to register. So once you find a sales and use tax registration for your state and city, all you gotta do is enter in your information as well as your EIN number and your LLC or your sole proprietor number, and you are now legitimized and ready to collect taxes. The next important thing to do to legitimize your business is to keep track of all of the expenses and the investments that you're making. What does this mean? Well, it means opening up a bank account with your LLC, with your EIN number, and all this information that you just got, and allow all of the expenses as well as the income to come through that bank account. It's important that you do this, guys, because at the end of the year, you want to be able to report on your taxes. And the best way to do it is to have a clear-cut way of actually tracking expenses and investments that you made. Now, the next big tip is to just save all of your receipts digitally on the cloud on like a Google Drive or a Microsoft One or wherever it is that you're saving things on an external hard drive. Just make sure that you're taking pictures of your documents whenever you get a receipt. If you buy a course or if you invest into equipment or if you buy supplies, save those receipts and put it into that drive. You always want to keep your paperwork whenever you're doing business. And with all these things now completed, you are now legitimate in your business. But that brings us to the next common question that we typically receive, and that's in trademarks. What do I do about that? How do I get them? Are they important? Do I need them? And to answer your question is, if you love the brand that you're making, you probably want to get a trademark. Because the reality is that you could build a very successful brand very quickly and you could start making millions of dollars. And if you never trademarked it or even looked to see if you could trademark it, maybe somebody already owns that name of that brand. And as soon as they find out you're making money, they're gonna go over to you, knock on that door, start collecting a check from you on every sale that you make, or tell you to shut your business down. And I can't tell you how many times I've personally heard this horror story. I've seen it with close friends. I've seen it with people in our community that just didn't follow this step. So it's an important one to take. So when it comes to the trademark process, it's important that you have options for your brand name. I like to call it the 110 and 1 approach. What does this mean? Well, you want to be able to gather a list of 100 names that could potentially be your brands. How you come up with this list is completely up to you. Go to ChatGPT, put in a couple of different prompts, and get a list of 100 names. Some people like to go to name generators and just kind of put in some information and see what it spits out. For me personally, I like to come up with a name that really resonates with that market that I'm trying to sell to. For instance, if you're running, if you're a fitness brand, you really want to dive into who you're selling to, and then you want to figure out what characteristics, what things appeal to them. It's important you just carry your phone around, type it in notepads, and just whenever you get that inspiration, put it in there. Because after, you want to narrow it down to 10 names that really have the potential to be your brand. Now, these 10 names should be a lot more detailed and a lot more focused. But you don't want to be too focused and too narrow. What do I mean by this? Well, for example, let's say you're starting a fitness brand and you really enjoy running. And maybe you're really into sprinting, so you want to create something around that sprinting niche. You don't want to go too narrow and just call it Sprinter's brand, right? Because that's only going to appeal to people that are sprinting, and it's not really going to have much more appeal outside of that. So instead of calling it something like sprinting brand, you might want to choose something like Runner's High. Runner's High is something that you get when you're running, when you're doing physical exercises and pushing yourself to the limits, right? And that also applies not just to sprinters, but it could be for other athletes too. And these 10 names should be good enough to be called your brand, right? You should fall in love with them enough equally, because the goal is to get it down to one. That one name that you can get a trademark for. It's hard to get trademarks for certain products and certain categories because it might be oversaturated. And we're gonna narrow it down really easily here through USPTO.gov. Through this website, you can check to see what's available through trademarks. This is just a really good preliminary search that'll either give you a green light that you can move forward, a caution light that maybe I should get an opinion from a lawyer, or a complete red and say I need to start over and choose a different name. But let's go through the first stage, which is actually just searching to see if you could trademark that name. Once you come to the USPTO website, just head on over to Trademark Search System. From here, what you want to do is actually just go on over to Wordmark. The wordmark is what you want to see if there's a trademark that is similar to the one that you're running with. So we're going to put Runner's High, and we want to refine it by putting something like t-shirts. This one was dead, canceled. This one was dead and abandoned. So that'll give you an indication that either A, they had issues getting it, or B, they never went through with it. So application refused, dismissed, or invalidated. From that, you can just kind of scroll down by unchecking these here on the left. You could see that, hey, Runner's High, it was already registered. And that's why all those other applications were canceled. This person registered it, and it was for goods and services, for t-shirts and shirts. So Runner's High is already in the market. I go into Google and then verifying it with the USPTO's office, you know if you can own it or if you have to move on. And luckily you followed the 110 and 1 because that'll allow you to go back to the list of 10 names and start that process over. Because this trademark is gonna be something that you own for the next 5, 10, 15 years. And spending a couple $100s on a lawyer is advised, even though you can submit the application on your own. And again, we're gonna have links in the description down below that'll help you do that from this government website. And once you have verification that you can own the trademark, the next part of the process is in getting the domain. Now the domain is essentially the real estate where your website is gonna be online. Now it's important that you can secure a good domain for your trademark. And when it comes to selling online, using a .store domain gives your brand some great branding and visibility, as it allows you to easily share it with your customers. And it also tells your customers subliminally that this is a store that they should buy from. And to get a .store domain, you can buy it directly from Namecheap, GoDaddy, or anywhere else that you plan to host your website, which leads us to launching your e-commerce store. Now there are various platforms available to choose from, such as WordPress, Wix, and Squarespace. But if you're truly looking to start an e-commerce business, Shopify is hands down the platform to build on. We'll link a video in the cards up above where we dive into the building of an online store. But in the meantime, just make sure you save the exclusive offer that we have linked in the descriptions down below, because once you get that, you are now ready to start making products. And to make the products, it begins with designing. Now you may be wondering, what tools or software should I use to design? Well, I like to say that it really depends on your artistic ability, your willingness to learn a new program, and more importantly, your ability to collaborate with others. Depending on that, you have some options. And the lowest cost option is Procreate. Procreate starts for around $13. You do need a tablet though, but with a $13 lifetime subscription, you can literally design anything you can imagine. For example, this jacket I'm wearing was actually designed on Procreate. Procreate obviously is gonna require that you're a good artist, so it has some level of barrier. Which brings us to Adobe Creative Cloud. Most graphic artists will design either on Photoshop or Illustrator. Now, the big difference between Photoshop and Illustrator is that Photoshop is more photo-based, where Illustrator is more graphic and vector-based. Now, for $60 a month, the Adobe Creative Cloud is a good option, but you have to be willing to learn some things because it is for professionals. In my opinion, it's a little complex to actually maneuver and master. I've been using it for years and I still only know like 10% of what Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator can do. But chances are you may not be in the boat to learn a whole new program. You just want to start making designs and start making money. And that's really where a program like Kittl comes into play. Now, Kittl essentially combines the ability for Photoshop and Illustrator all in one at a price that's like for free, at a for free price to get started. And the beauty about Kittl is that it's super easy to use. No matter your skill level, whether you're a beginner or a professional, Kittl gives you the tools that you need to create incredible graphic designs, and they also give you the ability to market your brand with all of the tools that they have available. Now, they recently also updated their entire workflow, and now they give you the power to collaborate with others on your team. So instead of just sharing files back and forth and making notes on other apps, your team can now work entirely on Kittl, leave notes, make changes, and get the designs you need quicker. And if you're designing on your own, then the enhanced AI editor gives you the skills that you need to create anything you can imagine. Now, I want to quickly walk through creating designs and making products. And we're going to start with the inspiration that we compiled on a Google slide, and then we're going to use Kittl's AI editor here to create the designs we need. In this example, I wanted to create a Greek mythology inspired graphic, so I pulled some inspiration from other brands that I really liked and other shirts and graphics that I found online. And after a couple of iterations, it gave me this right here. From that, I then pulled my logo that we designed in a previous video, and with that logo, we then started to overlay it on this graphic. Now, the best part about using this type of workflow, guys, is that if a graphic designer would have made this for me, I could still use Kittl to do my mock-ups and see how things could fit. I could let them know, hey, can you adjust this in order for this to work for this type of product? Now, we also designed out some words fonts for the hats in order to really complete this collection. I think last year over 100,000 brands started because of Kittl. So if you're watching this and you're looking for a tool that's gonna make it easy for you to get started, Kittl's definitely the way to go. And I actually linked a plan in the description down below that gets you 25% off your pro subscription. Now, when it comes to designing, it's crucial that you create designs that your market is willing to buy. It's very important that you have a goal, that you have a target of what you want your designs to look like. And then as you design either on Kittl, on Photoshop, or if you're working with a graphic artist, you know which direction that needs to be headed to. And with those designs completed, it's now time for you to start making the products. And honestly, guys, making products is one of the funnest parts of this process. It can also be one of the most expensive though. So I want to break down the options that you have to help you navigate this and, more importantly, make it on a budget. Now, oftentimes when I run into somebody that watches this channel, they always want to know, hey, what supplier can I use to build and grow my brand? And a lot of times that's going to depend on two things. One, the product that you want to make, and two, the budget that you have to make it. Because you can make anything that you can imagine if you have the money to pay for it. And sometimes people think, well, you know what, maybe I can't afford this type of manufacturer, but maybe I could try my shot with a supplier on Alibaba. And the thought process usually is that if you buy in bulk, you'll get a really good product at a low price and then be able to flip it for a higher profit and get really good margins on that. That's the goal that we all should strive for. We should always strive to getting the lowest cost and selling it for the highest price. But when you're just getting started, if you're wanting to go into cut and sew or even sourcing from suppliers on Alibaba, sometimes when working with overseas suppliers, you'll get the product that you wanted exactly to the T. And then when you reorder, you may not get that same quality, or you may run into an issue where it can't be delivered on time. So it's always an up and down when it comes to sourcing overseas. And if you're on a budget, you don't want to risk all of your money going into a production. Instead, you want to be able to start building your brand with a product that's consistent and that comes with no money out of pocket, no money out of your pockets to launch. And because of that, I always recommend people start with print on demand. Now, when it comes to print on demand, you have a variety of different options and suppliers to work with. But one of the top suppliers in the game right now is Printful. And Printful has a variety of apparel products as well as other accessories that can really build your brand. From t-shirts to leggings to even baseball jerseys. And the best part is that you don't have to pay for anything until after you sell something. So I want to take a really quick moment to show you guys how that works. And then we're actually going to order in a couple of different samples to show you how those turn out. Now to work with Printful, you can connect it to your Shopify website through the app that they have available. But if you're not ready to fully commit to Shopify yet, you can also start and launch your online store using their Quick Store tool. This tool gives you the ability to access their entire product catalog and allows you to start selling the designs you make without having a website. Now to create designs, you want to download your high resolution files as a PNG. So we'll grab our designs now and bring them over here to show you how this works. Now, I really like this t-shirt. It gives me more of an oversized yet somewhat of a relaxed feel, so I want to see how this turns out for a gym type of product. Once you have the design up here, you can start seeing the mock-up, and maybe you want to create a bigger graphic or move the placement. It gives you a pretty good understanding of how it's going to turn out. Now what I did is actually place the sample order for the products because I want to show you guys how it turns out, and then I also want to discuss some of the things that you need to know about printing on demand, the good and the bad. So let's do it. A few days after placing our samples, they came shipped in this small box. Now it's important to note the way you receive the sample is a similar way to how your customers are going to get their orders. Now the fit and feel of this shirt was on the money, and the quality of the graphic came out legit. The details on this absolutely blew my mind. It really is dependent on your design, your graphic. How high quality is it? Did you format it correctly? Because honestly, to me, I don't know guys, take a look at this. Am I biased or is this legit? Like, we designed this, we made this. Print on demand is an incredible method for you to get your products out without having to put a big budget. And Printful does an incredible job at giving you some pretty good quality stuff, like this 4 a.m. run. Absolutely incredible. When it comes to making just staple products for your brand, print on demand with Printful absolutely knocked it out the park with this one. I'm a big fan of this one. I think this is gonna do incredibly well. The t-shirt we selected feels nice. I'm impressed, super impressed. But one of the issues that we did have was when it came to the 3D embroidery. Now I wanted to do something that was puffed, that really stood out. And these are limitations that you have when it comes to print on demand, is that you can't be as creative as you wanna be, but they do give you the ability to start with no money down. So all you gotta do is sign up to Printful and you get started. And once you start making some money, you start liking the system, you like the automations, the fulfillment, and the service that they have. If you wanna start increasing your profit margins, you can actually pay for a Printful growth plan that saves up to 33% on every product order. Now this means that you're getting more money in your pockets, more profit margin, and more ability for you to start scaling your brand. So if you guys wanna learn more, we link Printful in the description right down below. So if you guys are enjoying this video so far, hit that subscribe and turn on post notification bells. Now, some of you guys watching right now may not want to take the print on demand route because you want to create something custom, something special. And I feel you, because that's the way that I started my first brand. I actually learned the entire process of manufacturing, from the sourcing of fabrics, from the printing and sublimation and the logistics. It was a lot of work and it was a lot of fun, but it's something that I don't recommend to people right out the gate, because the reality is that it's going to cost you a couple thousands in order for you to start that way. And because of that, I think it's important that you know your options for you to still start on a budget, even though it may be more than $100. And that begins with blanks. Now, when it comes to blanks, there's a variety of different blanks available in the market. And we're gonna list a couple of them in the description down below. But what's important to know about these is that you can find almost any product category as a blank product. Companies such as AS Color and Bella Canvas, and even Lane 7 are designing products to be able to be printed on. And once you get your blanks, you're also gonna need some shipping supplies. Now, some shipping hacks is that you can actually get free boxes from USPS and UPS and even FedEx. And if you want custom packaging, you should look into companies like Sticker Mule. Or if you want custom labels and hang tags, look at a company like Cruise Label. All of these provide you with those assets that can really elevate your product and make it look like a retail ready brand. And if you're thinking about making your own products and actually printing it out of your bedroom or garage, it's important to note that the lowest cost to entry is with a heat press. And you can buy a heat press from Amazon. They start at like $200. It's a great starter heat press to prove to yourself that you're gonna be consistent in making your brand. But then as you start to build and grow the company, you should definitely invest into a mid-range heat press like the one that we have here. This heat press runs around $700 to $900 for different features. But let me tell you guys, it's definitely worth it to help you make quality prints in record time. By having a heat press, you have the ability to start printing products with something called heat transfers. Now, there's a variety of different heat transfer companies out there. We actually launched a company called Street Crafter, and we empower people in our community as well as schools across the nation to be able to start a t-shirt printing business from home or the classroom. And we make the supplies available to you guys at a relatively low price, and we're gonna be linking those in the description down below. Starting a t-shirt business is like the opening of a whole new journey for you guys. I feel like the t-shirt game gets you into being an entrepreneur, and that's the reason why we've been doing this for so long. But when it comes to creating something elevated, and if you want to make it on your own, there is no substitute for embroidery. Embroidery is something that can make a very simple product like this jacket feel like a premium luxury brand. And machines such as this Melco Summit really caught my attention a couple years ago, but I gotta admit something to you guys. Embroidery looks intimidating. I mean, just look at all these colors and threads up here, and more importantly, the needle in there. Am I gonna poke my finger or take out an eye? There's a lot of little questions I may be wondering about owning a piece of equipment like this, and that's how I felt until they actually brought in a person from their team, came into the studio to actually train me up on this for 2 days. After those 2 days of training, I felt like I knew the nuts and bolts of this entire machine. They literally walk you through servicing, opening up things that you may not have opened up on your own. And they also show you the best practices to actually stitch, embroider on different fabrics, hats, apparel. So much information and games shared on those 2 days that after they left, I felt like I could tackle any job. Such as this embroidered hat that we're gonna make with you guys real quick. Standard trucker, but to make it 3D, you need this piece of foam here, which is like, it's gonna embed the design in there. So let me show you guys. Having access to a machine like this allows you to create custom products that would otherwise require minimum setup fees with the manufacturer or not be available through print on demand. Okay, we got 3D. Next thing I wanna do is flip it. So we're gonna place this according to where it's gonna go. Okay, now some of the features that this machine has is it has a laser guide here that'll tell you where it's actually gonna stitch. Right there. And this machine is actually stitching right through that hat and is creating the outline for the design that we fed into it. And the final product is a nice puff print hat that you see here. And when you compare it to the hat that we got from Print on Demand, this is night and day. And this is the capabilities that you have available by working with an embroidery machine like this. Now, buying a machine like this is not for everybody watching, so I always recommend that you prove out your business model before you do any heavy investment. Now, this machine here starts at $330 a month, and it's got all the bells and whistles, like this touchscreen to like all the features that are connected to it, which also allows you to do embroidery on demand. And with embroidery on demand, it allows you to essentially list your products on Shopify, and their software will communicate anytime you get an order. It'll give it a barcode, so now anytime you scan it, it actually brings a design in, and it'll make your products on demand. Melco has options for different price points. So depending on where you're at, maybe you just want to get a starter machine. They have some pre-owned machines. They have some lower units. So they got price points for pretty much anybody and any size business. And if you guys are interested in getting started, I highly encourage that you guys check out the Melco team. I'm gonna link them in the description down below. Reach out to them, ask them questions, let them know I sent you, and they'll take care of you by answering those questions and helping you get set up. Now, part of launching your brand is having products, and we just discussed the most popular methods for you to do so. But the most important thing to do is to have a marketing plan, budget, and resources allocated to it. So it's important to know that marketing is how you position your brand, and advertising is gonna be how you sell it. But before you start spending money on ads or even paying influencers, you need to understand the market that you're playing in. Who are the key competitors? What are their products? And how are you gonna differentiate yourself from them? As a quick example, in the fitness and running space for the Discipline brand, there are big companies like Nike's, Adidas, and Under Armour. Now, they have a huge share of the overall market, but they aren't the brand that we wanna focus on, because instead, we should be turning to more niche brands that are doing something special for a very specific audience. Brands such as All Day Running Co., Bandit Running, or even Hoka are carving out a new space in the lifestyle running movement. But we also want to research brands that are doing things in adjacent markets, such as gymwear brands like Mentality and Sunday Mass. You have to get a full picture of the industry and then identify what's missing from the market and who you're going to serve with your products, because that will ultimately determine the type of content you should make and where to spend your advertising budget. The goal is to get a big picture on what's happening in the industry or the market that you're entering. Because by doing that, you can then start to position your messaging, your brands, your designs, and everything else that you're working on will have an amplifying effect versus just piecing all these ideas together and not really going anywhere with it. Because this will also determine the type of organic content you should create, as well as how you should be spending money on paid ads. Now, successful advertising needs to speak to your audience's inner desires. It's private desires that they have. And as a good marketer, you need to be able to connect your products to those inner desires. Because when that customer makes that purchase, they should feel a transformation or experience, because their private desires are now public. They're showcasing it to their friends, to their family. That design that you create is a message for them, and it's something that resonated to them. They always had it inside, but they never had a way to express it themselves. So as a marketer, you need to be able to allow people to express their inner desires, and you need to have the right messaging as well as the right products to accomplish this. You need to understand that people don't just buy products based on a price. They buy products based on that transformation that you can give them. And the price isn't a determining factor if you're targeting the right audience. Take, for example, this ad here by Bandit Running. Now, by accessing the Meta ad library, you can actually see all of the ads that your competitors or people in the market may be running. This is important so you can start to get an idea of how they're positioning their products, and it'll start to help you formulate a game plan. Now, for this one in particular, I'm gonna scroll down and go to the ad right here that shows two women. Now, these women are out on a run, and it's the early morning, it's cold, and you know that it's cold, but the clothes that they're wearing is what allows them to explore the outskirts of town. Typically, people wouldn't be out running at this time, or if they are, they're super bundled, but these girls are out here running like it doesn't matter. And the positioning of these products is very technical. They have a very technical, warm positioning, which you could also tell through this other ad that we're gonna pull up right here, which is a guy that's running through the snow. Now, you could tell it's sub-zero temperatures here because you can hear the ice crunch underneath. And then lighting-wise, you could tell that it's like even before the sun rises. So he's working out in less than 0 degree temperature, but the clothing and the brand is what makes this possible. Now, based on these two ads, you could tell that they are serving an audience that really wants to buy performance products and products for the winter. This is products that will keep you warm regardless of the temperature outside. Now, this is powerful in advertising, guys, because you're painting a visual of what your product will do for somebody. People don't care about the product specs, they care about what it can do for them. Now, if you're living in a cold country or a cold state, this will be a brand that really resonates with them, because if it's freezing and you can't run, or if you run but you don't look good, like that's a problem, right? There's a market for that, and they're targeting that. Because the goal of the ads is to actually drive traffic to your site. And once they're on the website, the goal is to convert that visitor into a paying customer. But the reality of conversions, guys, is that you're gonna get 1 to 3% of people actually buying a product when they land on your store. This means that out of every 100 people that visit your site, you might only get 1 to 3 orders. So the goal here is to be able to funnel a bunch of traffic, targeted traffic, to your site and then help convert it. So once I clicked on that ad, I went to the website and it reinforced that messaging of, hey, this is the winter collection. You should shop now. Sometimes people say, hey, why am I not getting any sales? Well, you're not always gonna get the first sale. You might only get 1 sale out of 100 visitors, but that means that there's 99 other people that just completely left. They may have been interested to learn a little bit more, but they were just like, hey, I gotta go. And in that case, you gotta have an email opt-in form that allows you to capture their information. At the very minimum, you give them a discount, and if you wanna go above and beyond, you can give them free shipping. And then once they're in there, you can then welcome them into your brand and actually start to create a relationship with them, and even remind them that, hey, you should come back and shop for this because remember, you were just interested in it not too long ago. And in order to activate something like this on your store, you can use an email marketing platform called OmniSend. Now, they're a beginner-friendly platform, but they also have all the tools that professional marketers use. Now, for example, you can easily recreate the pop-up forms based on time or intent. So based on how long they were on the store, you can actually give them a specific offer. Or based on them leaving, you can let them know, hey, don't leave yet. Let me give you something for free, right? And then once they're a part of that email campaign, you can create an email series that gives them that discount or offer. But one of the things that's even more powerful than email marketing is SMS text marketing. We're talking about the text messages that come to your phone. In an email marketing stance, you might get anywhere between 20% to 30% open rates, where a text message, might give you upwards of 98% open rate. Because if I think about it, every time I get a message, I might actually open it up. And if it's an offer for a brand that I signed up or was thinking about, I may actually take advantage of it if they send it at the right time. Meaning if they send it when they know I'm about to go shopping on the weekend or after work. There's all kinds of analytical tools that are available for you to help convert the customer depending on where they are in the journey that you created with them. So OmniSend makes it very easy for you to launch all this, and it honestly is one of the most robust marketing platforms out there. So I share this to say that it's important to have the right tools as well as the right strategy to get customers to your store and then have them convert. And we included links to start your OmniSend account for free in the links down below, as well as a percentage off your pro plan. So if you want to start getting into that SMS marketing. Now they're also on a mission to help entrepreneurs start and grow, so they align with this channel, and I want to make sure that you guys know about them. Because once your marketing is lined up, you got your designs made, and the way to fulfill the orders that are coming in, the next part is in launching your brand. Guys, this is one of the funnest parts of actually starting a brand. It's also one of the most anxiety-filled because everything that you've been working on is now going to be put publicly out for judgment. And oftentimes when you put something out and if it's not well received, it could be a reflection of who you are inside, even though they're not trying to hurt you by them not liking what you have, by them not buying what you have. It feels like you failed. And this is a common thing to feel, but I want to say that you need to remember the from the ground up model that I shared at the beginning of this video. And that means that you need to be able to launch a product. You need to be able to start. You're going to fail, but the goal is to analyze and reinvent yourself as well as your product offering. By doing this, by analyzing the reception to the product, how many sales did you get? How many sales did you not get? How many were left in cart? Analyzing those numbers and finding ways to just improve the percentages start to help you have some success. You also want to be able to analyze the social media effort that you put out. How many views did the videos get? How many comments? What was the overall perception of the brand? Did they have feedback for you? And more importantly, don't let the criticism or the judgment affect who you are and how you're going to move forward. Because 2025 is the year that you should start. It's the year that you should fail. It's the year that you have to analyze and reinvent yourself. Over the years, I've had to do this on a quarterly, on a yearly basis, on a monthly, sometimes on a daily basis. It's important to know that you're failing in the right direction though. And this is why it's crucial that you create goals. You gotta have goals for what you wanna accomplish this year, right? 3-month goals. What do you wanna accomplish 3 months from now? Because the reality is, guys, life gets in the way. Life is going to get in the way. You might have a plan, and like Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face, right? Like, things are gonna be harder than you think. But as long as you stick with it, as long as you know the direction that you're going, you're pivoting, you're analyzing, you're reinventing yourself consistently, you're going to reach those goals. And starting a clothing brand or an e-commerce business is the easiest type of business you can create with the lowest upfront cost, which means you're up against a lot of competitors. But some of those competitors aren't looking at the market the way you will, the way I know you will after watching this video and applying the notes you've been taking. So I encourage you to stay in touch with us. Stay in touch with me. Make sure you check out all the links that we included in the description down below. We have a bunch of free guides available throughout our community, from manufacturing lists to blueprints on what you should do when starting a brand. We literally are putting this free game out to you because I remember what it was like to not have the assistance and the help and this information at my disposal. And the whole mission of this channel is to help you launch a money-making brand, whether it's creating a t-shirt company or even enhancing your current product lines with other products. However you want to monetize what you're doing, we're here to support you. So if you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button, turn on post notification bells. If you're watching this right now and you're wondering, okay, I got some ideas for other products that may not be clothing related. Maybe I want to do some jewelry, or I want to do some custom accessories or 3D printed products. Then I invite you to watch this video here where we dive into an old abandoned Walmart. But at this abandoned Walmart, the entrepreneur transformed it into a powerhouse for e-commerce sellers. This means they're making jewelry, mugs, they're making furniture, they're making all kinds of crazy stuff. So make sure you guys check out that video there, and I'll see you then.